Welcome back to the Let's Pivot podcast, the show for founders, leaders, and executive coaches who want clarity, confidence, and repeatable growth. This is our Leadership Unlocked series where we explore the mindset decisions behind sustainable leadership in a rapidly changing landscape. Today, we're speaking with Dr. Azza Karam. She's the founding president and CEO of Lead Integrity, a global consultancy advancing ethical leadership and the common good through women professionals inspired by faith traditions. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Chuck. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So, kind of the first thing I'd like to do is get to know you a little bit and a little bit about your journey. How did you decide to get into the uh, consulting space, and what did that journey look like? What have your challenges uh, been?
I'm happy to talk about that, but I just want you to know it's like, there you go, that's gone. Thank you. There was a very funny noise like the sea, but it wasn't stopping. Like sea waves normally come and go. This was a constant noise, so I'm glad it's gone. Shall we start? Okay, so thank you for asking me the question. There were three reasons that prompted me to seek a number of professional women inspired by faith that I had worked with over the course of almost 30 plus years. They were women of tremendous integrity in their work. We had gone through a great deal together. I had seen the metal, so to speak, and it was good and pure and solid. And I wanted to work with these particular people. It was this endeavor to try to bring around me the people that I wanted to have around me in my life, to be my professional companions in the journey of what we all believe in, which is service for the common good. We come from different faith traditions. We're inspired by different faith traditions, which is precisely the way that I like it. I'm happy with people who are inspired by their faith. I am particularly inspired by different faiths. And I think that our common humanity depends on being able to coexist and to serve, not because we all come from the same faith tradition. It's fine if that happens, but more the challenge really is to live together in peace, serving one another, even though we come from very different faith backgrounds. To me, that's the biggest challenge of our time. And I wanted to show that we could do this. We could serve the common good together, even though we come from such different belief systems, but we're all committed to service for the common good. So I reached out to them and I realized we each continue to work in respective areas. So some of us still working as professors in university, some of us are working in the private sector, doing their own business endeavors. Some of us are working in interfaith organizations, etc. We're still working in different places, but this is a common hub where we make ourselves and our time available to be of service to those who need to be advised and enabled to be better leaders in their respective areas of work. So amongst us, we have women who were rocket scientists, are rocket scientists, women who are elementary school English teachers, professors in different disciplines, medical doctors, scientists, you name it. We've got a range of women. All of us are bound by the fact that we are inspired in our professional service by faith and committed to serving the common good regardless of any differences around us. Nationality, religion, race, ethnicity, gender. We want to serve the common good. So
That
that's how
sounds
we came.
Yeah, that sounds very complex. How do you take that passion and turn it actually into a business? At least in my experience, the passion is ends up being one small part of a business, right? You have fundraising and you have people, different personalities. How do you market? How do you find your clients? How do you manage all the parts and pieces?
So we're building a new model as we're doing this, Chuck. We're trying not to follow traditional organizational or institutional models. We're trying to break the mold as we form a new mold. We're minimizing overhead costs. We're each holding ourselves responsible for seeking out clientele. Now, because on average, the least amount of years of experience between us is 20, the most is 35, 40. We have incredible networks. And because most of us are still working in different arenas, those networks are live. They're not people one used to know several years ago and lost touch with. They are very much live networks of people we are working with in respective areas and fora. So we're harvesting what we have, which is an incredible community of networks in almost all spheres: governmental, intergovernmental, non-governmental, private sector, communications and media. We have remarkable networks. So our networks are the social capital and the most important assets of lead integrity. We're not all as passionate, shall we say. Some of us are more passionate than others. As a Middle Easterner, passion is just a common thing for me. But some of us are much more calm and zen and so on and so forth. So we're different. We're very different individuals. But the business model that we're doing, that we're pioneering, is a very new one, is not something that we can use as an example. Oh, look, we've seen how this one works. We are a management consultancy, but we're not building an institution. We are actually supporting one another and others to serve rather than to institute an organization, which we believe from our respective arenas of work that institutions, any kind of organization, per definition has a built-in systemic and strategic challenge. Because at some point you have to start worrying about the institution itself, the organization itself, as opposed to trying, which is exactly what we're doing, instead of having a 75-25 percentage where 75 is about getting the business going and 25 is about actually getting things done, right? We're trying to switch this completely so that it's almost 100% serving clients through our respective networks, but without having to worry about the institution itself, about the organization itself. The organization is, lead integrity is a virtual space, which we come to willingly on set times of the month and set times of the year. We contribute to a percentage of what we're making each, just for the daily runaround, taxes and finance, etc. But we're each carrying the responsibility of committing to this space, using it as a knowledge hub, primarily a knowledge hub. We're learning from each other. We're learning from others. So we also have our podcast series where we interview people who we think are amazing in what they do. But it's essentially a knowledge hub that does not have a structure that then has to be safeguarded and stewarded and invested in and. So it's hard to describe because it doesn't conform to any particular institutional pattern. But the best way I can describe it is it's a virtual knowledge hub. Each one of us takes care of ourselves and we commit to learning from one another and to featuring others who are equally amazing, if not more so, and being able to serve as needed and as demanded. You asked about the challenge. Do you want me to talk a little bit about that? So one of our key challenges, Chuck, is that because we're such an unorthodox institutional model, we don't run an organization, we don't have structures and hierarchies and posts and positions. We have to ourselves do the marketing of our services, right? We're not using the brand of lead integrity, which then has to have a spin to it, and then we do marketing about it, and then we do No, we are each walking, talking advertisements. Our services, our words, what we do is our marketing. And we hold ourselves to a very high standard in doing that, which means that others who have far less know-how in actual wisdom in terms of experience and knowing of the product, but know how to do and have invested significantly in the spin about their brand, often get much more work than we do or requests than we do because they've done such a good job of spinning, whereas we actually have, relatively speaking, a great deal more wisdom between us to be able to assist. So that's a constant thing. And we're constantly going back and forth about, well, how do we market ourselves without losing out on the fact that we do have services to give, but we don't want to spend too much on the marketing aspect. And it's a hugely existential question because our entire world, from presidents to the local janitor in a school, somehow have to market their services.
Yeah.
The better you do, the more services you are able to do, and the more you're able to make a profit. But we're not oriented towards profit. We're oriented towards serving the common good.
Well, even still, the more people you can get out in front of, the more people you have the ability to to help, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And between us, with the networks that we have, we're getting out in front of a lot of people. We're trying to be of service to a great many people. It's the value of the most essential capital, which is networks.
And so is that mostly by word of mouth, grassroots? What's your strategy right now for that?
So we have plenty word of mouth, but essentially imagine that between us, we can knock on the doors of presidents, former prime ministers. We can reach out to local community groups in different parts of the world, from Mali to Peru. We have those kinds of networks. Universities, plenty of academic think tanks. Between us, we have so many networks. Our name, each of us, is a brand name, actually. So I'm a brand name, so are each of my partners. But together, we're a brand name called Lead Integrity, which, if you think about it, isn't so much just a brand name. It's about what we do. It's
Right.
about leadership, which is integrity. So word of mouth factors in. Our respective experience is, I'd say, 90% important. Our networks are phenomenally important. Like I keep saying, this is the key asset that we have. And we keep building up the network and building a database of people even better than us in so many different domains, so that when people need, and it may not be the partners themselves who have the skills that are necessary, we have the database that we can go to and harvest from those who wish to provide their services in those spaces. So the networks are phenomenally important. And they're very, very rare. You rarely have a group of people. We're about 10 partners. Between us, we can knock on any door pretty much. And that's not minor. That's pretty important. And between us, we have served almost every single area in space and can continue to serve in those spaces and do. Because remember, we also keep our other jobs. We're not 100% devoted to this space. We're also making sure we can earn our daily bread as we serve in this space.
Right. And what do you see as your biggest challenge going forward to be able to talk to those more people or to continue doing just what you're doing?
To be honest, I think it's the value systems around us that are, I think, skidding on thin ice. Quality of labor has come as a second or third place compared to spin and lies and fake news. And so that which is truthful and genuine and committed is becoming a very rare currency. What we offer is, as much as possible, to strengthen decency and leadership based on integrity that sometimes has a cost. So it's not about making money. Sometimes it might be about giving money in time and services. I think the general atmosphere around us, globally speaking, north, south, east, west, is one where the emperors have no clothes, but everyone is very busy saying how lovely the emperor's clothes are. And that is the normal. That is the normal. It's no longer a fairy tale that we tell kids when they're young. Truthfully, around us we see emperors with no clothes, but we're all busy commenting on how awesome and trying to serve the emperors more and more. That valueless or very twisted set of values is, I think, the greatest challenge to all of us, but certainly, especially to those of us who are trying to go against that kind of a current by pointing out and saying, no, actually, this is a pretty naked emperor. Here's how you can serve with decency, with integrity, with honesty. And you can laugh at me all you want, but that's what we're committed to.
And do you see technology as playing a part in that, playing a role in that? Do you see it as helpful or less than helpful?
We're not battling against technology. We're battling against the way certain people are behaving and thinking is normal. So technology is helpful insofar as it helps us project, get our work done in a shorter amount of time, reach out better, more, serve better and more. We're not coming face to face with technological challenges, actually. We're able to harvest what little we have to serve better and more. We think technology such as this is extremely helpful because we're able to communicate and we're able to be virtual and have zero overhead precisely because we're reliant 99.9% on the technology and our expertise and networks that we have, which are enabled because we're relying on technology to stay connected.
Right.
At all times. So no, we don't see technology as an enemy. We do not see AI as an enemy. We're not there. So far as AI is actually helping to further a valueless system of competence and beliefs, then that is a problem, absolutely. But again, we see that not as a fault, if you will, of AI. We see that as a fault of humans.
Right.
So we will always center on the human
Okay.
as part of an ecosystem that includes nature. But our center is the human. And it's the human who's currently using the AI in some disturbing ways. We're trying to continue to connect with the heart and the mind and the soul and the spirit of the humans.
And have you been able to leverage AI? Are you currently leveraging any specific platforms to help you do that?
Nothing really fancy at all, to be honest, Chuck. I think we're still very much operating within the normal basic parameters of technology, you know, the website, the communications with email and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say that we're going into the space of trying to leverage anything magnificent about AI as yet. No. And we may not, but as long as we keep the focus on the humans behind everything and at the receiving end of everything.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it sounds like your business model, your particular way you have it set up is quite different actually than anybody else that I've spoken to. But, you know, one of the main things for a lot of the founders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, when I talk to them is, you know, very passionate about a certain thing, whether it be, you know, cooking, you know, I make the best burger, or, you know, I'm the best coach, or I, you know, help kind of your situation. But for a lot of businesses, that passion ends up being a very small part of it compared to the rest of the bundle. It sounds like you may have reinvented the wheel, found a better way to do it.
More going back to basics, right? So before we had all this modern technology, infrastructure, institutional dynamics, the whole tamasha, before we even had what we call the marketplace, as identified and written about by countless economists and financiers, we've had people-to-people relations. And that is what our world is made of. People to people living on a planet that has to be shared, and shared decently, so that the planet can continue to give rather than us continue to extract. It's the people-to-people bond and nature that we are actually still trying to harvest. We're using the technology, the communication-related technology, to harvest our people-to-people relationships. But our service model is essentially, number one, a service model. And number two, is about dealing with human beings together, and having the human being in individual, family, community, nation, globe actually better connected in service to each other. So we, if you will, we're kind of going back, but in principle, we're just working with the very, very basics. Not so much reinventing the wheel as reminding ourselves of the wheel of this universe, which is how we humans live and interact with one another.
I like that. I like that. And I know you have dinner guests coming over soon, so I won't take up too much more of your time, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give fellow CEOs, coaches, entrepreneurs? What is that one thing, must-have piece of knowledge?
That resources, the word resources, actually refers to a lot of things. We have reduced it, and most of our business models, most of our theories of change reduce resources to the money. And our actions, our services are calculated in monetary terms. Mm-hmm. Every single budget of any organization has a part of it, which is how much does this effort or these number of efforts or this set of efforts cost? We have costed everything in financial monetary terms. We have forgotten that resources also includes how we deal with one another, what we value in our world, and in fact, that this model of trying to go get grants in order to do the most simple of projects and programs may not be the right model. That may be actually pushing us towards a culture of want rather than a culture of giving. And we have many resources at our fingertips: relationships, values, time, commitment. All of these things are precious, priceless resources. And I tell all those that I coach, think of the resources you have in your life that make you able to do things you don't have to keep paying for. You're looking for a place, a venue for a very important set of meetings that you need. Normal practice is Let's get money so I can rent a venue in place X, right? And where am I going to get money? I'm going to get money from A, B, C, D, E, F. What if we not think like that and instead think of, where can I actually access a place that may not be so fancy schmancy, that may not cost so much if at all, but that will still act as a great place to come together so we can get to the substance of what we want to do, the work that we want to do, the messages we want to share, the learning we want to harvest. Where can I get a place like that from amongst my networks? And suddenly you find at least 2-3 places that are available that may not be so fancy, but they are exactly what you need in order to have that meeting that you very much want to have if you want to prioritize it, and so on and so forth. Look at where those in our own networks can be providers for one another, can serve one another. Sometimes it's almost like a barter economy. How about I offer you the space because you need it, and you please come and help me figure out how to do this part of the strategic plan that I have, and I'm really struggling with it. Or even just to do a strategic plan. How about you help me figure out a strategic plan for my little outfit? You can have this space and use it for free. Just make sure you clean up afterwards.
Right.
Things like that actually seem, I'm not being facetious, these are really important trade-offs with one another that we can do. We can be of service to one another, especially at the local community level. What is mind-boggling, Chuck, is that the more resources we have, the more we think we have to spend. The more better off we are, the more we want to spend and have to spend and must get more. And that cycle, I think, is deeply problematic because it leads to ultimately a culture of more rather than a culture of service, which is harvesting what you've got already and what you may be able to get, and establish a really good relationship with somebody in the process of getting, so that we're able to both, if not all of us, benefit from one another. Think of resources as primarily human. And it comes down to this way of thinking that is very faith-inspired. We are blessed with much. Even when we think we don't have much, we are blessed with much. And it's about reassessing those blessings / in contemporary lingo, resources that we have. It's about reassessing, revaluing, and relocating some of that wisdom of what we've got and being able to harvest it with one another, rather than think of how I'm going to go get more and spend here and go there and get more money from this and try to track this. And let's face it, this international development model, that's what international development was based on. International foreign relations has been based on, I've got the money, you've got the goods, let's exchange. And look at where it's led all of us. Look at the kind of world and look at the kind of leadership that we have today. I'm going to make peace. I'm going to get access to their minerals, and they're going to be happy because I now own this place, and they won't fight about it anymore.
It's not working out for anybody.
Not really. Not really. So let's change that a little bit. That's what Lead Integrity is committed to.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Azza Karam. I appreciate you coming on the podcast today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chuck.
Happy holidays.
Yes, to you too, and a very happy new year.